Here we go. Oh my goodness, y'all. I am so excited for today. Here we are, episode 5 of Rough Draft. And I know it looks a little bit different today, but I love different. And this is always a really fun time. And so I have a
Yeah,
really, really fun guest with me today, Leah Nicole Wiggs, right?
yeah,
Yes. I
yeah.
said, yeah, yeah.
You're
Leah, it
right.
is Leah, it is so awesome to have you on. Thank you so much for saying yes and just accepting the call to be on the episode. But yeah,
Of
I'm gonna
course.
stop talking so you can introduce yourself.
Listen, I'm honored. I really am. When you asked, I was like, me? Absolutely. We have the same passion. So absolutely, I will talk with you. So for those that don't know me, I'm Leah Nicole Wiggs, but people typically just call me Leah Nicole. I'm a disruptive transformation coach. I when I say disruptor, one of the things that people know about me is I don't pacify. My job is to simply propel. And when I say transformation, I think most people need to know that there's power in a decided mind. And so that's what I do. I help individuals get to a place where they make a decision to move forward and leaving the past where it needs to be and pressing towards a higher mark. And so, yeah, that's what I do. And I love it. I'm also the curator for retreats. And so I host two different types of retreats, one called the Made for More getaway, where women just take a moment, get out of their normal routine, and experience God's presence in a different way. And then I also have the Eris Mentality Retreat, and that's a little bit more bougie, a little high scale, where we take it out of the country and experience the beauty that God has to offer, and really enlightening women on what it means to walk as an heir of the kingdom. So that's a little bit about me.
Wow, wow, that is awesome. That is just amazing. I loved just you can hear the passion in your voice, and I think that
Thank
is
you.
something really cool. I think that is something that inspires me. We've been around each other for a good bit, but we've never really had a chance to like actually like sit and talk. And so so I'm
Yeah,
sitting here
real chop
we're
it up.
talking.
Yeah.
I know, and I'm like, oh my goodness, she has like I can tell she just has so much wisdom, and so I'm
Thank you.
just I am again I'm honored to have you on. I'm honored to
Thank you
have you.
so much. Thank you.
And so let's get into it first.
Yeah, what's that?
You had talked about the kind of coach you are. Okay, say it one more time because I thought that title was like the coolest thing ever.
Oh, awesome. Thank you. Actually, the name came from my husband. Um, I'm a disruptive transformation coach.
Disruptive.
I used to just say I was a disruptive life coach, but my passion is transformation. My passion
Yeah.
is getting people to move from one place to another. And most of the time, the point that's in between, that in between space of from where you are to where you want to be or where you'd like to be, requires some disruption, requires a change, requires some insert that requires you to do something different. And so most of the time, people want change, but they're not always willing to acknowledge or become aware of what it requires to do so. And so I get the opportunity to just help people see more clearly, um, believe more deeply in what they want to become or what they want to create, and then live a life of purpose, but not just live it, but live it intentionally on purpose. And so, my husband, when I asked him, I was like, "What kind of person do you think I am? What if you had to describe me in 2 or 3 words?" He was like, "Leah, there's only one word to describe you. You're a disruptor." And I was like, at first, I was like, "What did you just say about me? Like, what are you trying to say?" Um, but after I shared that term with other people, they're like, "Oh, Leah, absolutely. I've always had a big personality. I've always been real loud. Um, and I used to try and shun and hide that. I used to become a chameleon for everybody and
Yeah.
become everything that people wanted me to be until God helped me to see that my design was perfect from the beginning. So
Yeah.
here we are."
Wow. That is so like amazing. And one thing that like I really love about the conversation that I can already tell God is doing is like we haven't really talked about any of this beforehand. So like as you guys are listening, like this is my first time hearing it as well. And I think that it just completely embodies even like what this whole thing that I'm doing is about. Like I'm all about um, just I'm in this season of of making myself really really uncomfortable
Come on. Yeah.
because I know that in my comfortability that I will not do the things that God has called me to do. And so I'm in a season where like I have to kind of go against the grain and I kind of have to go against the things that I want to do. And growing up, like it hasn't always been that way, but I have always been like really different growing up. And I think that's just because of the call of my life. Like I don't think I've ever been called to fit in. I don't think I've ever been called to
Come on
fit the
now.
mold. And
Yeah.
so growing up, I tried to do that so much, and then like I finally got to a point in my life where I was like, okay, I have to be okay with not being, like what everybody else wants me to be. I have to be okay with, kind of like shaking it up a little bit.
Yeah.
And for me, like I found that it's actually like life is so much more fun that way.
Come
So
on.
like, so when this whole I've been thinking about doing this podcast for a really really long time. It was just something that God just kind of put on my heart. But more recently, he's just been kind of like making me like a little bit more like uncomfortable in it. So I've been like, Justin, like when you're gonna do it, you need to do it. And then of
Yeah.
course, like I told the one person I should not have told. I told my mom,
Yeah.
and she was like, "Oh yeah, you're doing this." And so like so she's been like an awesome support, but like also like her, that she is like she's not gonna let you sit, especially when she sees something and she sees that this is something that that God has kind of planted. So like ever since we
Hmm.
started, like she has been like a super huge motivator and getting me to do this, put it out there, because this has been really uncomfortable for me, but I am so grateful for it. And so I just love that that's kind of what you do. Like you thrive in that.
I
you
do. I do.
you
I'm like
do.
giddy over here. Because what? Well, one, I'm so proud of you because, like you said, your mom is definitely she's a mentor of mine, a coach of mine, um, and really, she doesn't let us quit. She doesn't let us stay stagnant or in the same place. And I know I needed that. And so I can imagine being her actual son, like what motivation and propelling she does within you. And so I'm glad that she said, step out and do this because it's needed. It's needed. Um, I think most people have to get to a place where they become comfortable doing the uh, the unfamiliar thing until it becomes familiar and comfortable, right?
Yes.
Most people are like, oh, it's uncomfortable, and that's like, it feels uncomfortable, yes, but technically, it's just unfamiliar. It's unpracticed territory,
Mm.
and so I believe the more that you do it, Justin, the more that you get behind the mic and push record, it will just become the norm. And so keep
Wow.
going. Yeah,
Wow.
I'm excited
Wow.
for you.
Thank you so much. Thank you. And um, I love what you said about how at first like it may seem uncomfortable, but it's really just unfamiliar. Like that is, man, that in itself is powerful, because I think it comes to mindset.
It
And
does. Yeah.
like there are so many moments where we can get so stuck because what we're doing, we don't know it. And when there are things that we do, like bring like a little like psychology, like there's that fight or flight. And so
Yeah.
it's like that, okay, so I'm in this situation that I do not know, this foreign territory. And so, we either have a response to go for it or we have a response to run away in fear. And a lot of times, especially like I see like people like in my generation, young people, I see like it like the reaction is normally flight. We normally run. We normally get away from anything we don't like. I like, especially me, like I do not like confrontation at all.
Oh,
I don't like anything that makes me feel I like to be comfortable. I like to be
yeah,
comfortable.
wrestle. Yeah.
It is so strong. But I think lately I've been like seeing that there is so much, believe it or not, there's so much joy in the fight. Like to be able to go after
Hmm.
it, to be able to see like the results of when you do the uncomfortable thing. And so like I feel like a lot of times, and you said it perfectly, like we call it uncomfortable, and because we don't like to be uncomfortable, like we won't do things that we should be doing. But I think if we recognize that it's unfamiliar, I think that like relieves a little pressure a little bit too, because then it's like, okay, well, like I can, like if I meet someone for the first time, like I'm not really uncomfortable. I just don't know them, so I'm unfamiliar with them. But as you continue to do something time and time again, it goes from becoming unfamiliar to familiar. You know it. You know your way around it. You know how to do it.
Yeah.
And so then without really knowing, you become comfortable. But it's not really that you're comfortable. It's just that you're familiar. Because I think that, and I really do think that that's like even like a lie and a trick of the enemy is to make people feel the need to be comfortable. I don't think we should ever be comfortable, because
I
I
agree.
think I think comfortability. I think it breeds laziness. I think it breeds um, doubt at times. I think it can breed almost this like, oh, like I'm chilling, I'm fine, like I'm
Yeah.
good. I don't need to push the envelope any farther. I don't need to achieve like that next level. I'm just kind of gonna stay where I'm at. But the beauty of unfamiliarity is that you can get comfortable with being unfamiliar with things.
Come on.
And so right, and so I think it's like it's important that we don't get comfortable, but that we stay uncomfortable. We get familiar, but like we should never get comfortable. And
Yeah.
so I
Listen,
love
you said
it's
some
so good.
major points because one, the enemy is always going to make us believe that being comfortable is safe.
Mm,
And the reality is, it does breed complacency and doubt
yeah.
and even lethargy, right? Like you just don't move. And we serve a moving God. We serve a God that
Mm,
believes in
yes.
there being some continuous movement from glory to glory, from faith to faith. And so, knowing that that's our design, we fight against our nature, our spiritual nature, by staying stagnant or staying still. Um, I think the other piece is that, like you said, when we practice a thing or when we say, okay, this is uncomfortable, when technically it's just unfamiliar, the thing we have to do when it's an unfamiliar territory, just like you did, you started asking questions. Tell me a little bit more about
Yeah.
yourself, right? Um, and most people don't recognize that there's power in asking good questions. There's
That's
power
so
in uh,
that is so
Matthew
good.
7:7 talks about ask and seeking and knocking, that progression of the search. And so if we aren't willing to ask the question, we don't find out the answer. And yet the answer is available to us. We aren't willing to pose that question to ourselves. And so one of the big proponents that I'm always advocating for is reflection, asking the right questions, quality questions. My husband always says that uh, the quality of your life is dependent upon the questions you ask, but not just the questions you ask others. Most importantly, the questions you ask yourself.
Mm,
Um, and
that is
when,
so good. That is so
yeah,
good.
I'm like, man, we want quality living, but are we asking ourselves internal questions
Mm,
that help us to really dig in and discover what's
yes.
going on with us emotionally, physically, our thought process? Like, if we don't, then we're existing, we're not living. And I think the living place requires movement. So
Yes. Oh man. Leah, that is so, oh my goodness. That is so good. That is so good. And I think, not I think, I know, um, that is a very like, it's a very common thing. And I think like it can even lead to like a lot of like mental health struggles that we see today is like with
yeah,
depression and anxiety. It
for
literally
sure.
leads to not being able to move. You are so like with anxiety, you are so riddled with panic and you're so riddled with fear
Yeah,
that you can't think straight, so you just sit there. And depression, you literally you're sitting in your sadness, like so like those are two things, and those are two very big things that like that we see, and that I see especially like in my generation that plagues um, my generation and people way younger than me is like this thing of like I'm either so scared that this won't work out that I won't move on it,
come on. Yeah,
or I don't have enough confidence in myself in the first place to think that I can even do it, so I'm not gonna move on it. And I literally sit and like I say that from experience. Like there are
Same, yeah.
so many things and so many moments where I allowed either anxiety or I allowed depression, I allowed fear, insecurity to um, just come over me. And in those moments, like I just kind of allow I just kind of allow opportunity to pass me by. I've allowed things to pass me by, and it's so funny because you talked about it. We serve a moving God, and so it's so funny because like in those moments we'll sit and we'll be like, God, like I need a breakthrough, God. I need a miracle, God.
Yeah.
Like God, where are you? Like I need you, and it's so funny because I was actually talking to like a friend the other day, and he brought up Proverbs. I believe it was. Let me see. I'm gonna pull it up real quick. Grab my Bible,
Yeah.
because
Let's do this in.
like absolutely love this verse. I absolutely love this verse, and it spoke to me because honestly, like over the past few weeks, I've kind of been in that place a little bit,
Yeah.
and I'm just being honest because
Yeah, real talk.
that's why we're here. We're talking,
Yeah.
and it is in.
So let me pull out my app too.
It is in Proverbs. Yeah, so it's in Proverbs 16 verse 9, and super simple. And so like I had literally grown up like reading this verse, but the way that my friend broke it down to me, it like 100% changed my entire perspective on how I see God. And
Yeah.
the way that you said it is the same way that he explained it to me. And so,
Come on, alignment. We appreciate
right,
that.
we love that, and I just love um, just even like this season of like reading scripture, like it has become a completely different ball game. And so
Yeah.
if
You
you
said
don't read the
Proverbs
Bible, like
16?
yeah, Proverbs 16 verse 9. Yes,
Perfect.
yes,
Okay.
yes. Okay, so here it is. So it says, in their hearts humans plan their course, but the Lord establishes their steps. And
Yeah.
so, of course, like I sit and like grew up reading that, like yeah. Okay, God, I got it. Like trust you, right? Trust you. Yeah, cool.
Right.
I got you. I can do that. Like, but it was so funny because my friend broke down that second part, and he said, "Man, plans are of course, but the Lord establishes their steps." And so he was like, "You have to be moving for God to do something." That like, and it took me. I said, "Oh my goodness." I mean, but it's true. Like like God, like God does not establish our thinking. God does not establish our research. God does not establish, us sitting and pondering and wondering. Even though, like you said, self reflection is key, but
Yeah.
we have to. But once we do it, like we can't sit in that. We can't sit
Yeah.
in the questions. We can't sit in the wondering if it's gonna work out. We can't sit in the planning and the research. It says God establishes our steps. We have to move.
Woo!
Faith without works is dead.
Come on, work. You got to move them
Work.
feet.
You have to move. You have to move your feet. But like it's so funny. We're sitting here and but I'm also pretty sure that we both can like say that we've also been on the other end of that where it's like
Oh,
we
man.
felt like, oh my goodness, there are no, like I cannot take a step. Like I just can't do it. And so
Listen,
like I would actually
you're right. What? Come on.
yeah.
I think if anyone says that they have ever not been in a place of depression or
Mhm.
anxiety, then they are still wearing the mask, right? Like you're still wearing the mask that makes it seem like you got it all together.
Right.
What I'm always telling coaching clients or just people in general, like anxiety and depression are real things. Let's be very clear.
Yeah.
They are real things. Anxiety typically is the place in the future and constantly thinking about what might come, what won't come, but it's always future thinking. And it paralyzes us sometimes because we don't know the future and that's not our place, right? Our job is to trust in the present. And so anxiety comes when you're constantly thinking of what is to come. And depression typically comes when we're constantly thinking about what happened, what was, what I could have done better, should have done,
Yeah.
everything in the past. And so we've got these two spectrums, or two boxes, I like to say, that we live in that are outside of the present. And this is where we're called to reside. And I think most of the time people think that if you leave, if you just stay in this place and you leave the future where it's going to be and trust it in God's hands, you let the past go because you can't run back and change anything, and really focus in on what you can do in this current moment, in this current day. One, it makes life a lot easier. You find more peace because you're not constantly thinking about tomorrow. There's a scripture that talks about tomorrow will worry about itself, right? So if it is going to worry about itself, let me not worry. let me not do that part. Let me focus on the present place. And when you said he establishes our steps, man, I was looking at this analogy. I was talking with a couple of women 2 days ago, maybe. And I don't know what movie it was in, but one of those, like maybe a Marvel movie, I don't know, some movie where a person was walking and they were about to come off of a cliff, but as soon as they stepped, now this was like magical or whatever, but like as soon as they stepped off of the cliff, like a step rose to meet their foot, right? And so the steps purpose was already there. The steps were already there. It just required that person to come off the cliff and be willing to step. And then all of a sudden, as their foot came off, the step rose. And so it met them as they were moving. And so when you said that, I was like, oh, come on, King Jesus, you better connect the dots for me. Like, that is what our journey really is. And that's that verse in Psalms that talks about a lamp unto our feet and a light unto our path.
Yes.
We, one, have to move on the path in order to see it. And then as we step, as we make the movement with our body, as we make the decision in our mind, as we fortify that we're not staying in this place, we move and God meets it. We move and God meets it. And it's a beautiful collaboration. It's a beautiful dance with the Father. It's a partnership that he longs for us to have with him. And I don't care how old we are. Let's be clear. I worked in higher education for 10 years. So I worked at some of the top college and universities in the country, Duke and Purdue, Stanford and Old Dominion, and just places that the top college students in the world go to. Everyone is dealing with the same issues. Being willing to trust and make the movement in order to walk the thing that is most uncomfortable. Yes. I don't care how old or how young, that is the journey. And the quicker we master it, the quicker we understand it, I shouldn't say master, the quicker that we understand it and then apply what we understand, the better the journey is.
Wow. Oh my goodness. Sorry,
I know I talk a lot. I'm gonna slow down.
No. Like it was, I just have to sit here and just like process, because like it is so like, it's so beautiful, and like I love the way that you painted it. I think that is a perfect analogy. Like even like sitting here, like I'm like, God, like it just relieves so much pressure. It relieves so much pressure, because there is this expectation, and there can be this pressure on so many young people, on so many college students, on so many high school students, that there is this, that it's like that we're here and the goal is here, and we have to and we have to reach this goal. And once we reach this, whatever it is, whether it is getting into that school, like getting that job, getting into that relationship. And it's like, and then we think that we've like arrived, and we think we have it. And it's so funny, because a lot of the times, like we'll reach it, and then we'll realize that it's like, oh my goodness, like there's another one.
There's more.
And there's more. And
come on, DJ Khaled, and another one.
Right. And another one. And so it's like, if we are not content in the journey of getting there, wherever that is, then we're, then there's always just going to be this want and this need and this desire for more. But I love that picture of like, it's not like this pinnacle climb, but it's kind of like this straightforward kind of journey that we're on. And it's like, as we're going out and we take a step, God meets us. As we take another step, God meets us. As we take another step, God meets us. And I think it just, one, it relieves a lot of pressure. And two, I think
Mhm.
it just reminds us that one, that this tension that we're in between heaven and earth, like it is, like it's not forever, but this journey with God that we're on is forever. It is eternal. And
Yeah.
so like it is just such a beautiful thing. Like I loved what you said. You were like, one, you said that he longs for it. He he longs for us to take this journey, because I think what we do is a lot of the time is we'll be like, okay, God's like, peace out. We'll kind of do it on our own. We'll slip, we'll fall, and then we need help. Okay,
We'll come
God,
back.
where you at? I need you right
Mhm.
now. And it's like, no, 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 no. Like that's not it. It's, hey, God, I'm taking a step. Oh, look, there you are. Another step. There you are. And as He walks with us, like the confidence in ourselves doesn't grow, but the confidence in that when we take a step, that He will sustain us.
Come
That grows.
on.
That grows.
That's
And it's
yeah.
like,
That's it.
because like I'm sure that first step is scary. You look down and you see everything below you, and you're like, oh my goodness, failure, the opinion of other people, all that stuff. But you take that first step and you're like, wait, I think
I
I'm
think
not falling like God. Like
I didn't fall into it.
I'm still here. Like I didn't die. I
I
didn't die.
didn't die.
God, I'm still here. Wait, let's
Yeah.
try it again. Let's try it again. Let's try it again. Another step, and we're still here. And then like after a while, like you like nothing matters. The only, like, because you are so secure in where you're going, and you're so secure in where you're walking, because you know who's holding you up.
Yeah.
Because this is, okay, thank you, Holy Spirit. um we sometimes, and it makes me think about like we talk a lot of times just about how Christ is a, like our firm foundation, and we're building our house like upon the rock and not upon the sand. And
Yeah.
it's like there are a lot of times where we are taking steps on 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 unfirm and unsecure foundations, and we can fall, and
Yeah.
we will fall. And so it's like, but again, like what I love about this is like God doesn't see us, take that step in that wrong direction, or depend or rely on ourselves and look at us and go, haha, look at them. But He's like, okay, just waiting. I got you. I got you. I got you. And so
Yeah.
like so again, like it is still this beautiful thing, and I love that. And I love that He allows us to kind of get to the end of ourselves. Like
Ooh.
I just love hearing it all the time, but Jesus is a gentleman. Jesus will never force Himself on us. He will never force us to do something we don't want to do. Like this whole
Yeah.
relationship, everything with Him is this thing of free will. But I know for a fact that it breaks His heart when He sees us and we are broken and we don't come to Him. And so it's just like this beautiful thing that you're talking about, of one, like becoming secure in the journey of where He's called us. But like I don't think we can do that until we become secure in our relationship with Him. Like we have to know that Jesus is the only way. Like He's the way, the truth, and the life. And it's, it also says
Absolutely.
in Scripture, like, like no one can enter into the kingdom of heaven except through me. Like like Jesus is the only step. He is the only firm foundation. And
Yeah.
if we try and build it upon our success, if we try and build this thing upon how much money we have, if we try and build our life upon all these other things, like it will crumble very, very quickly. Very,
Hmm.
very quickly. But what I love about it is, even when we do, because we're not perfect, and we do not
And
get
we
it wrong,
will fall. Yes.
and we will fall.
And we
It's
will
like
fall.
Romans 3:23. We all have come short and fallen short of the glory of God. Like
Yep.
it's gonna happen. We're human beings. But what I love about it is that when we do, if we are open and if we are willing, Jesus will catch us and we can become secure in that. And now our journey has taken a completely different path.
Amen. Amen. Can I add something to that?
Please. Please.
I think it is, not I think, like you said, I know that understanding who Jesus is and what He wants for us, and how much He is a gentleman, how much He cares, and how much His love um, extends for us is one component. The most, in my opinion, and I should say the most. What is also equally important is us understanding who we are in the equation.
Yes. Yes.
Like, yes, know who God is, know what He has promised, understand what He has already declared about this journey, right? We know there will be pitfalls. We know that He will also still be there and never forsake us, right? We understand that piece. But if we don't also take inventory and time to also discover what He says about who we are, not just
So
about who
good.
He is, but about who we are,
Yes,
then we
so
can walk as co-heirs, as co-laborers, because
yes.
we understand
Yeah.
that there's something dynamic about who we are, period. And most of the time, the confidence leans in the direction of, I trust Him. Do you trust you? Like, do you trust do you trust who you are? Do you believe and have confidence in who you are? And so, yes, there's the work of learning who God is, but there's also in tandem the work of learning and discovering who He says that we are, and then believing it. Like reading it, cool, great. Making that reading deeply seated in who we are, in our mindset, in our
Yeah.
proclivity, in our actions every day. Like if I didn't, I guess I'm thinking back to, if I didn't take the time to reflect and journal about why I felt the need to perform, become for everyone else, why I was so caught up on the opinions of everyone else's thoughts on who I was and how I needed to show up. I'm also a pastor's kid, right? So
Yeah.
having such high expectations sometimes, not from my parents. Yes, my parents were also Marines, so that's a whole nother another layer of rules and order. But if I didn't take time to literally process what is it that is unique about me that I can actually believe in, trust in, and value, and not be so concerned about everyone's thought about how I needed to show up, but take inventory and ask myself, how do I want to show up? Like,
Mm.
who do I want to be in this earth? How do I want to show up as a leader, or do I even want to do, like, really breaking it down to the like basement, all the way to the basement, like from the bottom. Where are we? What do I want to be? How do I want to be it? And do I believe that I can be it? And what's hindering me from believing it? All the questions that really like churn on the inside. If I didn't do that, I wouldn't be at a place where I could say, "Yep, this is just who I am. I'm big, I'm bold, I'm loud, I'm 5'11" and an Amazon girl. So this is what this is what you're getting when you get me, okay?
Yeah.
But that doesn't happen without taking time in our fast-paced world where everything is like instant, instant, instant.
Yeah.
Slowing down and asking myself some intentional questions and then answering those questions honestly. It's imperative, I think, that we learn who God is, but it's also equally imperative that we discover and fortify who we are, so that we can literally partner with the God in us to become what it is that He's purposed us to be.
Wow. Wow. That is
There's a
so
long add in, but
there's so much wisdom in what you just said, and just so many different things. One, I love, again, that's so important, and I think that's something that it's just so important. I'm just sitting here like literally like just taking it all in, because it's like that's such an important thing, and we see a lot of times that there isn't that component. People really don't think a lot about themselves. People really don't, like they look at themselves and wish something was different. I hope, pray to God that they'll wake up tomorrow and something is different.
mm-hmm.
And if it's not, like, hate themselves for it. And so, like, even if you're, because I just really felt like if you are listening right now and and you feel that way, like, man, like, my prayer is that you would begin to see yourself the way that God sees you. Like, that is, man, like, that just,
Amen.
man, because that's something that, like, that I, from experience, like, have dealt with very, very heavily. Like, would wake up, I'm not 5'11", and for the longest time, that, ooh, it irked me, only because, like, I'll even take 5'9", like, but anyway, I am, like, God made me
Yeah.
stronger. So,
Listen, I used to want to be shorter, so I understand. I'm like, why I gotta be standing taller than everybody in the room? Lord help me.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And so, like, for me, like, like growing up, like, being, like, being on the smaller side, not being, like, super athletic, and growing up and trying to figure out, okay, like, who am I? Like, there were just so many years of just struggle in my mind of just trying to
Yeah.
wrap my head around the fact that, like, God made me exactly the way that I am. Every flaw that I see is just another part that makes me unique in his eyes. And so being able to be secure in that and say, okay, God, like, my life isn't even my own. So, like, who am I to look at myself and say that something needs to be changed? Or who am I to think about what other people have said and take other people's words over your words? Like,
Come
you
on.
made me. They didn't make me. So why am I basing my life? Why am I basing my career? Why am I basing my entire being off of words of someone who does not know the 100% me?
Yeah.
But God, like, Psalms 139, like, you knit me in my mother's womb, like, you know me.
Come on.
He knows us. He searches us. Like, he examines us. Like, he knows every, the number of hairs on our head, like every bit and piece, every nook and cranny. Like, he knows us so
Mm.
deeply and so intimately. And so I'm at this place now where it's like, man, the only person who I will ever allow to speak into my life about me is God. No one else.
Yeah.
No one else. And and again, I'm not saying, like, oh, only God knows me, I can do whatever I want. No, 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 no.
To be
It's
clear,
not.
that's not what we're saying,
Yeah,
okay?
yeah. No, that is not what we're saying at all. But what I am saying is that when it comes to the things in your heart that you feel like is placed there and you can't let go of, like, it's probably because God put it there. It's probably because God put it there.
Yeah.
And if there's a dream, if there's a desire, if there's a passion that you have, I would say, like, there are two things. Pray about it.
First
And
and
like,
foremost.
first and foremost, pray about it.
Yeah.
Because there are, like, a lot of, dreams. And the way that we check that is, I believe there's two ways that we check that. One, I believe that we check it through his word, because I think we have a lot of people out here who are sitting in their rooms, waiting for God to speak, and everything that he has already said and ever will said is already in his word. I had someone come to me one
That's
time,
deep,
like,
sir.
that,
Say
yeah,
it
yeah.
again for the people in the back.
Again, no, again, like, everything that God has said and will ever say has already been said in his word. Like,
That's good.
God will never tell you to do something. God will never tell you to be something. God will never tell you to live a certain way that does not align with his word. His word is truth. We stand on it. His word is not old. His word is not ancient. His
Come on.
word is not sitting there for us to pick apart and choose. No, 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 no. His word is the foundation that we build our life on. It says that his word is breathing and it's alive. Like, this is inspired. This is not
Yes.
man-made. This is God breathed. It's not man-made. It's God breathed. And so, again, like, yes, like, if there are dreams and if there are passions, like, that's great. But also be aware that, yes, we serve a living God, but there also is an enemy who wants to destroy us and who wants to get us off track. And so if
Correct.
we aren't careful, like, yes, like, we're sitting here, yes, be confident in yourself, know who God has called you to be. But before you can know who God has called you to be, you have to know who God is. Because if you're sitting here and you're saying, oh, well, like, and
Yeah.
and and I'm gonna just say it because, like, we live in this world now of, oh, like, I can sit here and say, like, oh, like, I'm a guy, but, like, in my heart I feel like, like, I'm a woman. It's like, if that's not in the word of God, then
Then
no,
that's a lie.
then it's a lie.
Yeah.
And we are not careful, we will allow, oh, Jesus, we will allow the lies that people tell us, but we will also allow the lies that we tell ourselves to become our
Period.
truth. And if that happens, we are in a world of trouble because it is like, it's so dangerous. Like, this is the truth. God's word is the truth. It
Yeah.
is the truth, and it is the only truth. And so if we can live our life, one, confident in his truth, and then confident in who he has called us to be. Again, confident in who God has called us to be, the person that God created, not
Yeah.
the person that we try to create, and not the fake version of ourselves, not the perfect version of ourselves. Like, if we can live confidently in the 100% messed up, really cool,
Yes.
sometimes like isn't always at their best. Like, if we can 100% live confident in that, man, like there's just so much joy in it. There's so much more joy in it. And like, and I guess it's kind of like answers like your question earlier about kind of what led me to like do this is that, like, I'm in this season where I'm really getting to experience that joy because, like, I'm not listening to other people. Do I have a wise counsel in my life? Yes, 100%. Do I have mentors and pastors and parents who, who speak and kind of help guide me because I know that they hear from God? 100%. But also, like, I am learning to kind of trust the God on the inside of me. And
yes, sir.
Let's take this step. Let's do it. And man, it has been a beautiful thing. And so my prayer, my hope is that these conversations lead other people to do the same thing. Because man, like, if you think that you're living the life and you're comfortable, man, just wait till you get uncomfortable. Like, there's so much more living to be done. And I actually want you to talk a little bit on that, because that you do that. You help people get from that place to the place that we're talking about. And so, like, please kind of like elaborate.
For me, I think the biggest thing is that the only way that, and I say only because the world's going to give you a whole bunch of options. Okay, to be clear, they're going to say, try manifestation and try crystals and try saging and all the different things that you think will help you become. The truth is, the only disruption that you need in order to move is from the disruptor. Jesus, the main disruptor, came down and shifted everything. And we, being made in his image and in his likeness, are all called to disrupt as well. Right? And so there is something within you and within us and each and every person that has a purpose and a functionality to do something different. And so when we sit in the same place and we sit in the same, we copy everyone else's design and we look at from the left to the right, we're forfeiting the lane that God has called us to walk through, navigate, and impact through, right? And so it's like, to be all the way clear, every single one of us has a unique and purposeful design from the beginning. Our job, our responsibility, I love the word responsibility, and I just thought about a tangent. I'll come back to that. Our responsibility is to fully discover, uncover, and then recover our true purpose. Okay? Like, we have to be willing through this entire journey to uncover what the truth is, discover what God says, and then recover the kingdom, recover what is truly ours. And so as a disruptor and as talking to a fellow disruptor, you are called to speak into a lane that only Justin can speak into. And for those that are listening, whoever you are, there is something that God purposed in you from the very beginning of time. It could be the thing that you like dream about doing, or it could be the thing that you're like, I've never seen that done before. It probably is whack. Nobody's gonna like it. No, actually, that's the thing that you're supposed to be doing because only you thought of it. When we actually take the time and disrupt the cycles that we have in our mindset, disrupt our patterns of behavior, and be willing to uncover what could possibly be different, discover in his word, truly in his word, what he says about who we are, and then
Yes.
recover the territory we're destined to have and take, then we're actually walking this thing out. And
Yes.
that process is all happening in the in between, right?
Right.
It's like, this is where I am, and this process is taking place, and it looks just like this. And so if you're expecting it to look like, oh, da, 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 it
Mm-hmm.
doesn't. It doesn't. There will be moments where it ebbs and it flows, but most of it is just going to look like this, and be comfortable with the riding a little different than what you've been riding. But that's where the change happens, is when we say, in order for me to become the next version of me, it's going to require a shifting,
Yes.
a peeling back, a pulling out, a putting in, and that journey doesn't stop.
Yes.
That doesn't. You don't arrive and then say, I'm here. That arrival place is when we get to meet our Father. And so until that day comes, that's the arrival place. When that day comes, Gucci. But until then, let's keep rolling. Let's keep pulling. Let's keep putting in. Let's keep pulling out. And I know that may feel like, oh my gosh, that's tiresome. It sounds like work. Sorry to burst the bubble. This journey is work. It's work. Faith without the works is dead. And what we're called to do is have faith and couple it with our work.
Wow.
So I'm going to talk really quickly. I know we're running it close to our hour mark, but our responsibility, and I recently just stumbled upon this. My aunt was telling me about this, and she was like, Leah, we have the ability to react or respond to whatever comes our way. That's really the two options we have. React, just which means that we respond without a plan. That's what reactions are. There's no plan in it. Or we have a response, which means it comes from our ability that's already in us. So when we respond with our responsibility to something, our responsibility to grow, our responsibility to transform, our responsibility to become, we're really saying, I'm going to respond from the ability that's already in me. And the only way we discover what that ability is we find out what he's already placed in us. We go to the word and say, hey, God, what did you establish so that I can respond to this journey properly from a place of ability within me. And that ability within me is what is Holy Spirit. That's the place.
Yeah. Oh my goodness, that's awesome, Leah. It's awesome, and I love like what you were just even as you were kind of going through the thing. I just kind of like even like picked out. You were saying that we have to, in order to like disrupt, like we have to uncover, we have to discover, and then you have to recover, and like that is, man, that is just an awesome like process, and I think like you hit the nail on the head. I think that there's this, again, just because of the way that we've grown up, there are just these ideas and just things that have been passed down about how like our life should look,
Yeah,
how we should live our life. But like in order for us to get everything that God has called us to do, we have to step away from that, and we have to sit and we have to say, okay, like I'm willing to break the mold. I'm willing to do whatever it is that I need to do so that God, I can be everything that you called me to be. Because like, believe it or not, like you can have everything you want, but like if you don't have God, like there is more. Like
there is more. Ooh, there's more.
There's more. There's more for you. There's more for just like the call, like everything. And so, man, that is awesome. That is really, really awesome.
Really, really awesome. Thank you for saying that, because that's my jam. I could run around this table, but I won't. There is more. There's so much more in him. The question is, are we willing to find out?
Are we willing to find? Man, I don't know I honestly literally don't know what else to say. Like that is.
I think that God has put a cap on it and said, will you find out? That
Will you find
can we
out
do,
about it?
yeah, the encouragement piece is like, will you find out? Will you do the unfamiliar thing in order to discover a new thing? Will you the question is, will you find out? And my prayer and my hope for anybody listening to this and listening to our convo today is that this encourages you to ask the questions, to seek out the more, because it's there, um, and be encouraged that you're not alone in the journey. I don't care how old or how young we are. This is an ongoing process, and everyone has to continuously ask that question: will I seek out the more? So just know you're not alone.
That part. That
That part.
you're not. You're not. There are so like believe it or not, there are people who are rooting for you. There are people who are in your corner, people who want nothing but the best for you. And I get that it may not always seem that way, because again, they may make you uncomfortable because that's their job. Like they have to. Like Leah, like literally makes people uncomfortable for a living. Like that's literally what she does.
Yeah.
But but like it's awesome because like we need that. We need it. If we, if we want to stay where we are, fine, whatever. Then then have people in your circle who will always pat you on the back and always say that you're doing great. But if you want more, if you really, really, really want to step into the thing that God has for your life, if you want to step into the thing that you feel like God has called you to do, your dreams, your passions, then you're gonna need someone to kind of ruffle your feathers a little bit, and you're gonna need someone to come and kind of tell you, hey, I see this in you, and I'm ready for you to run with it. And so,
Yeah.
Leah, thank you so much. This conversation was absolutely amazing, and it's just been really great having you on.
Thank you so much. I'm honored and privileged, and I pray that this is not the last time we get to chop it up. But thank you just for the opportunity to start this day in this powerful way.
Yes. And then I'm gonna like grab all your socials and I'm gonna put it in the description, and you guys follow Leah, follow what she's doing. If you need a coach, hit her up
Yes, come on through.
because she will help you out. She will help you out. So yeah, again, thank you so much, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in and joining in. We definitely will have you back on.
Awesome.
So see you guys later. Love you guys.
Yeah. Talk to you soon.